Save the Sound is a nonprofit dedicated to preserving the environment of the Long Island Sound region. So we work in both Connecticut and New York. Specifically on the Soundkeeper team, we're members of the Waterkeeper Alliance, which is a global alliance of stewards for different waterways. So essentially what a waterkeeper will do is they'll adopt their local water body and then they become a spokesperson for that water body, and they work to protect the public right to fishable and swimmable water. So that's what me and Bill are doing here for the Long Island Sound. And our original Long Island Soundkeeper was actually named Terry Backer. So he was here, he probably started the Soundkeeper program, I think about 30 years ago. And sadly he passed away. And now Bill and I are carrying on his work. And then a couple years back, Soundkeeper was absorbed by Save the Sound. So now we're part of that larger organization. So we have other teams within our organization that work more on water quality. We have a whole legal team, ecological restoration, development and grants team, and then a climate team as well, and lands. So we work in all areas of the environment, but specifically me and Bill are looking at protecting the sound. I'm really passionate about this job and what we do, and I think it's so important because the Long Island Sound is such a unique body of water. The Long Island Sound is an estuary, which means that we have salt water coming in from the Atlantic and fresh water coming in from all of our rivers and other tributaries. So there's a lot of animals and different types of wildlife that live in the Sound that can't really exist a lot of other places. So that's why I think what we do is so critical. There's also, there's around 5 million people that live on the coastline of the Long Island Sound, and then around 10 million that just live in the Long Island Sound watershed in general. So that's an insane amount of people who are depending on this water body. Maybe not all of them are depending on it for their livelihood, but there's a lot of different stakeholders involved in the Long Island Sound and invested in using the Long Island Sound, even if that's just for recreation, boating, swimming, going to the beach, stuff like that. So it's really, really important to a lot of people, and it's really important for our overall environment here in the Northeast. So I feel really honored to be working here on the Sound, and just like expanding, I mentioned that there's so many people that live on the Sound, but that's really what makes our environmental issues so complex, is the fact that we have so many stakeholders living and depending on the Sound, but there's so much development on the coastline of the Sound that's creating so much impervious surface area, and there's a lot of different types of runoff entering the Sound every day, which leads to different types of pollutants coming in. So all of our issues in the Sound are super, super complex, and that's really where like the community building and public education aspect comes in, where we need to be working with people because so many people have a stake in what's going on. And it's never really as simple. It's very rarely a simple issue to fix, like this exact pipe that's leaking and we can shut it down right now. You know, sometimes it's difficult to track down pollution and to improve the overall water quality. So it really takes a lot of work what we're doing and a lot of community support and outreach. So that's super critical to what we do.
I call myself a marine ecosystems ecologist, and I look at the impact of humans and our land use patterns, how we live on the land, and how that impacts coastal water quality. It's kind of the big picture. And what I do is I combine modeling. So I do modeling to look at nitrogen flow from the watershed into coastal waters. I also do field work to look at water quality and habitat quality in coastal waters. And then I focus on eelgrass as an indicator of good water quality. So eelgrass is a plant that grows underwater. There are only about 50 species of seagrass worldwide. And we have 2 species here in Connecticut. Eelgrass is the one that we tend to focus on in terms of preserving. So I use it as an indicator of good water quality. Recently, I took on the role for the Department of Marine Sciences of getting Connecticut National Estuarine Research Reserve designated as a center at UConn. I think Save the River, Save the Hills, Save the Sound, the Nature Conservancy, Clean Up Sound and Harbor, these are all of our local NGOs, our non-governmental organizations. And they are, sometimes often they are volunteers. Occasionally they have paid staff members, but they're groups of people with varied backgrounds that are interested in preserving the environment or improving our natural environment. Partnering with scientists at UConn or at other colleges and universities is really a critical step for them. It gives them the scientific knowledge to carry out, what they know they want to do. They know they want to protect the environment, and connecting with scientists can help them figure out how to do that and how best to communicate it. So those partnerships have really been very important to me because I'm interested in applied science. I want to see the work that I do being used in our society, and in return, they're getting my expertise. And I'm talking about me personally, but many faculty in the Department of Marine Sciences in EEB, in Natural Resources and the Environment, NRE, also do this type of work with our local NGOs.